3 steps to being more you in your business. Hello, my name is Liz Stamford and I'm one half of Baba Business, the Birth and Baby Business Academy.
And my name is Anna Lagrange and I'm the other half of Baba Business.
So this
I find it so hard being more you in your business. Like, this is something I really am I have to work at every single day.
Oh, tell us about it. That's juicy.
I think for me, when I think about being more you in your business, like, we've all got many, many layers, to ourselves, to our personalities. And I generally think, especially as women, but for any human, I think the older we get, the more layers we're able to unpeel and the more we're able to be more ourselves, like
Yeah.
our true selves. Because I think, even in going a bit deep here, but even in I think I see it in my teenagers, like you're very much you when you're little, and then you become more conditioned to life. You try and make yourself more socially acceptable to fit in, or maybe you are a people pleaser, or maybe you've had embarrassing experiences that's made you want to shy away or keep yourself small, or maybe it's just messages from society. But we've all built up this kind of conditioning that's made us, perhaps less and less like our true authentic self that we were when we were sort of little, which is going to sound really out and perhaps a little bit deep for our podcast. But that's the truth of it. Like, we all have got these different layers of ways we try and fit in and who we think we should be. And I think it's quite a rare person who is out there and really feels like they can be 100% themselves in every single situation. But the thing is that when it comes to business, it's usually our true selves that have brought us here, our passion, our purpose, our mission. So, but, it can feel uncomfortable in some aspects to be honest, truthful, really bring that true side of ourselves out, especially when we're talking about being visible on social media, being vocal about the stuff that we believe in, speaking freely without fear of other people's opinions or views. And I think that's why it can be really hard to be yourself in business, because we've spent a lot of our lives trying to not be ourselves.
It's so true. It's really tricky. It's much harder than it sounds like when you really think about it. And I think as well, because a lot of us live our lives online, either businesses are online or we're working online, we're certainly doing some level of marketing and promoting ourselves online. And I think that is often, the challenge, isn't it? Like, how do you be yourself in front of people who don't really know who you are? In a snapshot, in a moment when you're learning and navigating something new, i.e. business. How do you do that authentically? And I think there are a couple of things here which, I know help both of us, because I also struggle with it. It's so much easier to be myself in person than it is online. I think we feel, really. So something that really helps is understanding and knowing your values. So working, like, this can be like your brand values, but also your own personal values and what you stand for. And when you have those values, it helps you to make decisions. It helps you to stay authentic, because when you're thinking about, let's do something really simple, like when you're thinking about creating a post about something, check in with your, like, does this align with who I say I am? Does this align with how I want to represent my business? Does it align? Does it feel like me? Does it feel authentic? And I think when you learn to do that, it really helps with your brand, and it really helps people to understand who you are. I went on a bit of a journey with the Calm Birth School in terms of values and creating, because people who don't know, the Calm Birth School used to belong to somebody else, and I bought it. So I on this big journey of like making it mine and putting my stamp on it and making sure that it felt fully aligned and authentic to me, and there was a lot of kind of imposter syndrome along the way and all sorts of things.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Much, is not so much a problem these days, but I still do have to check in with, like, is this me? Is this authentic? Does this feel good? So that would probably the first thing, is maybe taking a look at those values and having them as a barometer.
Oh, I totally agree. I think that's really, really important. I think the other thing is, and this is what I'm trying to step more into, and I've come a long way. So do you know what? I was last night I was looking, 'cause Facebook's going to get rid of our Facebook lives in the
Yeah.
next few days, week, whatever. So I've been looking through my and I've also been making a lot of changes to my Facebook accounts because I'm having a bit of a rebrand. So I was looking through all my old videos
Oh.
yesterday, which was very much like at the time it was very much Facebook video stuff, and there are so many like pages and pages of me doing Facebook lives, and most of them like have been seen by 60, 70 people. There's a few that have been seen by thousands, which I'm like, that blew me away. So I've just been downloading the most popular ones and the ones which I thought, oh, that was a good thing. But it was really good to see like how much I grew in putting myself out there and how I was happy to chat about stuff on video. And interestingly, I think probably even more confident a few years ago than I am now, which kind of interested me. So I think yeah, I think you've got to have a level of visibility out there. I think some people come to me and say, oh, do I have to share everything about my family? Do I have to share my kids' faces and stuff? Like, absolutely not. No, you don't. And obviously there's accounts out there that do that, and that's fine. That's their thing. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do or what you already do. But you don't have to. There's not one way to do social media or to be visible, but you've got to be authentic. You don't want to try and pretend to be something else. You don't want to be focused on having everything really polished or looking a certain way. Obviously, like, branding is important and that kind of thing, but your main brand is you. Like, you're the person people are going to be working with. You're the person that people are going to be attracted to. And once you've got your values in there as well, and they're sort of like, oh yeah, that I really agree with that. That really resonates with me. I'd love to work with this person. You've got to put some of yourself in that. That's why we say, like, even just as a very basic, you've got to have your face on your bio so people can see a picture. It's one of my pet hates that when I look at someone's bio and it doesn't even share their name or their face, I'm like, why would I work with this? Yeah, who are you? Why would I work with you? It doesn't, it's so important that people start connecting to you on a personal level. I also saw this really interesting social media post today, which caught my eye, and I meant to share it with you before we came on today, and I just didn't get a chance. But it's by somebody that we follow called The Social Connection, and she shared how she doesn't encourage her clients to share everything on social media. She said, like, people do come to you as the expert, as somebody who knows something, and they don't necessarily want to see all of the chaos of your life. So it's like there's a bit of a balance, you know what I mean? Like, for sure, we don't want it all to be like rose tinted glasses, oh, I've got this perfect life and everything always looks wonderful. Or I think most of us probably use social media in that way a bit anyway. We don't necessarily want to go on social media at our worst moments, but her point was like, just be careful, just be a little bit, think a little bit before you post about your struggles. Like, maybe post about them sort of like retrospectively, like, oh, this was something I was struggling with, but this is how I overcame it, and this was the lessons I learned from it, rather than like, going on live or on your stories and be like, completely bonkers. I mean, look, that's just her opinion. I agree with that to some extent, but I also think, we are all human. So yeah, that's something for you to kind of feel into with your values, with your brand, with your offering, what feels right and what doesn't. But yeah, I don't that even though there's this sort of been around for 20 years really reality TV trend, if you like, that we want to see warts and all, just be a bit intentional about that with your with what you're posting, and don't
Yeah.
feel like you have to share you don't have to share everything in your life to be real and for people to get to know you. It's about balance, isn't it? I feel like I've almost contradicted myself on this discussion, but
No,
I do think it is important to have discernment around it as well.
I get what you mean. I think that we need to be brave in business, and we need to push ourselves outside our comfort zone, and we need to do things that we've never done before, that we wouldn't ordinarily do. We need to be authentic. We need but that exactly what you're saying. It does not mean you have to share everything that's going on for you right now. Like when I was going through postnatal depression years ago, there's no way I would have or could have shared it for at the time, or even 12 months, 2 years afterwards. But since then, like I've gone on podcasts and talked all about it. I've written blogs. I've really shared it. I've probably overshared, but I feel ready to share it, and I
Yeah.
know value it has. It serves as a lesson to people. It lets people know that I understand how they might be feeling if they're going through something similar. And I think there's a lot of value in sharing our experiences as well, but it's got to feel right for us in that absolute moment. So definitely get where you're coming from, and it all totally makes sense. Something else I think is really important when we're thinking about like being ourselves in our business is really understanding our limiting beliefs and what's holding us back. I mean, sometimes we don't even recognize that something's holding us back, so
No.
if in day-to-day life quite I don't know, like you're quite outgoing, or you're quite sociable and you enjoy people, but then you get online and you're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know how to express myself, how to show up. If you
Yeah.
spend time journaling or working out what your limiting beliefs are around that, then you're going to be in such a better position to be able to move through it. And sometimes just recognizing it, not necessarily resolving it, but just recognizing it gives you the courage to just move through that
Yeah.
that fearful feeling and do it anyway. So I would really, that sort of comes back to what we were talking about last week on the podcast, which was about the rituals and taking time to really
Yeah.
those rituals in your business. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to last week's episode, and that will really help you to work out what kind of strategies you can use, and it will help you to become more yourself. It will help you to have the courage to show up authentically.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is reminding me as well of the interview we did with Gail Berry last year in Lessons from a Birthday Baby Business Owner, because we sort of asked her about this, because we said, she's so visible, and she does such a great job of committing to going on live every day, and she just says, that's my job, like that's my purpose, like I have to do this. Like, I've made that decision that by going live I'm going to help others, and that's my mission, my purpose. I want to help others to make a difference in their communities, and me showing up and sharing is my way of doing that. So I really liked that. And she's sort of just like that, what have I got to lose? And it's so true. Like, we hold ourselves back, and it's understandable that we do, because we've got all these conditionings, we've got these experiences, we've got these limiting beliefs. But again, similarly to what I was saying last week, was that we've got to make that choice, and shall I make that choice to be more me in my business? It does take courage. I'm not saying it's easy. It's definitely not easy. It might be one of the hardest things that there is to do in business, actually, is to really
Yeah.
show up as ourselves. But it is really worth it, and it's really one of those things that is going to attract people to you, the right people, and grow your business. So recognize where you need to work, and the clues to look out for is, where are you procrastinating? Where are you like, oh, I know I need to do that, but I haven't done it? Where are you being perfectionist, going, oh, it's not quite ready, I need it to be better than that, I'll do it when I'm ready? Like, all of those are fear. Usually they're fear of being visible and putting yourself out there, of getting it wrong, making a mistake, and what the consequences of that might be. And yeah, like you said, you've got to step out of your comfort zone to be a business owner. You've got to be courageous and brave, and that's when, that's when things are really going to start to happen. So this is like a little friendly kick up the backside to you all. um
Yeah.
today, and maybe come off this episode and think about, where, like, do a little bit of journaling, like where do I need to be more myself in my business? What small steps can I take towards that? We're not talking about like chucking yourself out of an airplane and, like doing something terrifying. Like, take those baby steps towards it. Like, maybe today it's like, I'm going to go on stories, do a story every day or something, and then you can slowly move up to an Instagram live. Or maybe it's like, you know what, I've got some stuff I'm really passionate about in my business. I don't talk about it. I don't talk about this enough, but I know there's other parents who are really going to resonate with it. So maybe it's being brave in that way. It's just really like, what do you have to share with the world that you know is going to help them?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. We want you to be you in your business because it just feels so much easier, and we want to know you. We want to get to know the real you. So yeah, if you perhaps, I think what might be really helpful for people listening to the podcast is if they download the rituals freebie that we have. Got that in the show notes, and of course always come over to Instagram and let us know what you thought of the podcast, and yeah, if we can help you with any of the things we talk about, we'd love to.
See you then. Bye.
Bye.